This week on commandN, Twitter's financial future, the new Susan Boyle, and Jeff gets his hands on an iPad. Welcome to episode 210 of commandN. I'm Amber. It is another beautiful spring day in Toronto, and there's been lots of major tech news over the past couple of weeks. Probably the biggest news was the release of the iPad in the United States, and I was a very kind sister and went down to Chicago and picked one up for my brother Jeff. So he has a review of that today, plus lots of other headlines, so let's get started. Our headlines this week are sponsored by our good friends over at GoDaddy.com. We have lots of deals for you that you can check out on our website. One of the best is a domain name for $7.49. All you have to do is enter the promo code COMM749. That's COMM 749. You can check out this deal and more at commandN.tv/GoDaddy. You need to sit down for this headline because it's a bit of a shocker. Twitter has announced that they have finally figured out a way to monetize the site. What they're going to do is sell ads that will appear when you search for any terms on Twitter. For example, if you search for Starbucks, next time you very likely will find a Starbucks ad at the top of the search results. Now this ad will be very clearly labeled as promoted by Starbucks, hopefully not to interfere with some of the other tweets that are out there.
Is this real life?
One of the funniest videos online of all time has to be David After Dentist. That's that kid who is doped up after visiting the dentist and is talking to his dad, who is shooting it all on a video camera. Well, his dad has recently talked about how he's making money off of his son, and his son's okay with this. He has a six-figure income based on t-shirts he's selling and all of the appearances he's making. As for what his son thinks of all this, I guess he's become a bit of a micro-celebrity with his friends, so he's pretty happy about all of this online success.
Stay in your seat.
The Webby Awards, which is one of the best-known website award shows in the world, announced its nominees recently. Out of all of the people who were nominated, a few of my favorites made the list, including Mashable, as well as The Onion. And as for the most nominations, this went to the New York Times. A bit of a surprise there, but good for them. Motorola is trying to take its recent ad campaign viral. They've released a series of videos that have a little fun with the Motorola Droid. That's the Android-based smartphone. One of them has a guy going into a restaurant talking to a waitress, and he takes his droid and he is trying to find out the bra size of the woman behind the counter. So pretty entertaining. As for whether or not these really will become viral, it's up to the users to say, but they are getting some press online in terms of people talking about that campaign, and I guess good for Motorola for being innovative.
5111725.
Yeah. He just tased me.
Now, I have been using the Motorola Milestone. I'm testing it out. Unfortunately, we had a bit of an accident in our house and it got drenched with water. I did love my Milestone, but now it has suffered the consequences. Even after soaking it in rice, we weren't able to absorb all of the water just yet.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.
Most of you probably remember Susan Boyle. She appeared in a talent show in Britain, and then the video subsequently reached, I think, about 90 million views on YouTube, one of the most watched videos of all time. Well, there's a new Susan Boyle on the block. This time it is a 20-something kid from Taiwan. Now, he even looks a little bit like Susan Boyle. He is singing a Whitney Houston song, and people are raving about his performance.
Hi, I'm Jeff MacArthur, and for this week's Hot Stuff product review, I'm very happy to have a new iPad to review. So this thing, there's been so much said about it, and I've talked about it a lot when it was first announced. So I'm not going to get too deep into all the different functions. You basically know it's a lot like a big iPhone, but boy, is this ever something that once you use it, you get a different feeling for it. So going through the various iPad-specific apps has been the most impactful thing I've done. And there are some doozies. In addition to the included Apple apps like Mail, which is much better as far as I'm concerned, and a nice updated version of YouTube, Marvel Comics, Wall Street Journal, and a lot of other people have done up some really, really beautiful apps that are specifically for iPad, not just blown up iPhone apps. You can see things like the Marvel Comics app here. This is beautiful in terms of its display, but it also leverages a lot of what's been going on in the background for this evolution through the iPhone to the iPad in terms of having in-app purchases and all this. One of the important things here, and one of the things that I think will establish whether this becomes a real revolutionary device for magazines and newspapers, is the price point. Comics in here, full-scale Marvel Comics, $1.99. That's a lot cheaper than comics are. And it's got a couple free ones that you can look at and download. And it's super, super easy. It's got all of the kind of interface elements that you'd expect from your iPhone. So you just press a button to download. It's hooked up to your account. It's got some of the cover flow interface and all that stuff. And when it comes time to read, you know, you get nice full screen versions of this. You can do panel by panel follow alongs. Really, really nice. So there's quite a few like this. The iBooks app has a really nice interface too. We've got the Wall Street Journal, as I said, USA Today. These are really showing off the multimedia aspect with these iPad apps. So, you know, you're scrolling up and down and reading through different articles, but when you go into articles, there's videos to play. You can play a slideshow in place. There's all sorts of these extra add-ons that really make me feel that this is the next platform for magazines and newspapers. So we'll see where that goes. A lot of it will depend on pricing. In terms of pricing, Apple did establish some new pricing standards for the iPad apps. You can certainly find the free and 99-cent ones, but Apple's selling each of the 3 elements of the iWork suite for $9.99. There's actually an OmniGraffle, wonderful, wonderful app, but there's an OmniGraffle iPad app that's $30 or $40. So it's really creeping into a lot higher prices for these sort of things, but I think it'll be worth it. And frankly, it just wasn't fair to developers to be doing all this work and then make 99 cents an app. Maybe the iAds that are being added in with the new iPhone OS will change that. You see here the home screen. I've customized the wallpaper on it. It's in Apple's case, which I don't think I would have this thing without a case on it. It just seems like it'd be more apt to be harmed than the iPhone. So whether that's true or not, it's certainly for my comfort level. And this also lets you mount it so it can stand upright, it can stand on the side, or it can be in a position where you can type pretty easily down like this. It isn't too sturdy when you have it in some of those positions where it's standing up, so I think there can be improvements made to the case, and the cover doesn't really snap shut in any way. It can open and close. If you hold it upside down, it just flips open. In terms of weaknesses, I mentioned it's got a good speaker. The speaker is definitely better than your iPhone speaker. However, if you're watching something in landscape mode, your sound's all coming out of one side. I find that a little disconcerting. I would hope maybe they could put a speaker on the other side. When it's up and down, it doesn't happen as much. There's also a lot of issues starting up of the app side of things with iPad. For instance, it's very hard to tell iPad apps from iPhone apps. So you have a hard time organizing them. There's still the difficulties with the on-screen management. You do it through iTunes, it's clunky. And when you see an iPhone app on here, it starts off with the iPhone size, totally out of place, but at least you get the functionality. The 2x zoom, it's bigger, but boy, do they look chunky. It's quite a different experience to be using an iPad app versus one of the iPhone apps. So one thing that pleasantly surprised me was how easy the on-screen virtual keyboard is to use. Now, I'm not going to be typing with the same speed I do with a physical keyboard, but I can definitely type faster than I do on my iPhone. And I think at a level that makes it easy enough to, respond to emails, write up a short report or some notes or things like that. The biggest problem is just accidentally touching the keys because you have to kind of float your fingers over it. But all in all, it's a joy to play with. It's a pleasure to read on. The interface evolutions have got me really excited to see how they're handling a lot of the different things on a touch interface, given that that is probably going to be a more and more popular medium as time goes on, obviously. So we'll see what happens in the next version. I don't know if everyone needs to buy this one. Like I've said before, I'll be handing this to my mother once they build the version 2 and hopefully put a camera and stuff in. But it's, for me, I'm very glad to have this first version. Very functional, super speedy, screen looks gorgeous, and fantastic battery life. So no complaints on that side. Few things to iron out with the ever-bloating iTunes management, the in-app management, and a couple other little picky issues. But I think they've really established a fantastic basis to build on here. Something that is not like your laptop, is not like your desktop. It really is a whole new thing. That's all for this week. I'm Jeff MacArthur. Enjoy.
We're starting a new segment on commandN called Powerfriending. This is in honor of my book that's coming out in June. All of us on the commandN team have somehow worked on the book and contributed to it, so we decided that a social media tip would be perfect for the show. As for this week's tip, I'm going to promote a site that I've talked about a lot over the past couple of years. It's called namecheck.com. That's NAMECHK.com. It's a great place to go if you want to find out where your potential username is registered across multiple social media sites. So it's very handy if you're just starting out in the social media space and you want to make sure that you have one consistent brand across multiple online destinations. Now it's time for our web pick of the week. A lot of people have asked me why I didn't buy an iPad. Well, one of the reasons is because it doesn't have a camera, and I use my camera all the time for Skype video chats and more. Well, this nifty little hack recently came out where the user is talking about how you can turn your iPhone into a wireless camera for your iPad. Check it out.
You connect the two using Bluetooth, and suddenly you can use your iPhone as a camera for your iPad. Simple.
If you have a video you want to send us, or a web pick, or any other ideas, all you have to do is leave us a link at commandN.tv. We're always checking in the comments area. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. That was good. I love social media.
That was weird.